I'm Chief. Welcome to Chief Logic. Standards under relationship pressure. We're on code 5. Valentine Noise. The holiday doesn't create problems, it puts a spotlight on the ones you've been managing. Valentine's Day has a way of turning a relationship into a stage. People start acting like this one date is a measurement, like romance is something you prove on schedule, like love can be audited with flowers, reservations, and a caption. If you don't participate the right way, it becomes evidence. That framing is already a problem because it treats an event like it has more authority than the life you live together. The pattern underneath is simple. You use events to measure love instead of everyday behavior. If the relationship feels solid, Valentine's Day is just a day. It might be fun, it might be meaningful, but it doesn't carry weight. If the relationship feels unstable, Valentine's Day becomes a test. And tests are rarely about the day itself. They're about the anxiety that's been sitting in the background. Reality works like this. Love is not seasonal, it's pattern. A relationship is not defined by how someone performs when the calendar tells them to. It's defined by what they do when nothing is being demanded and no one is watching. Tuesday behavior tells you more than holiday behavior ever will, because Tuesday is where habits show up without costume. When you don't have clarity about the pattern, holidays become the substitute. You start using a dinner, a gift, a trip, or a gesture as stand-in for consistency. You start letting a performance cover for what hasn't been handled. And because it feels good in the moment, the performance gets rewarded while the underlying issues stay untouched. That's why Valentine Noise is so loud. It gives people a way to avoid the real conversation while still feeling like they did something. Here's the mechanism. Events are easy to score. Patterns require honesty. It's easier to point at a bouquet than it is to point at emotional safety. It's easier to judge the reservation than it is to judge repair. It's easier to post a photo than it is to talk about respect. So when a relationship has unresolved tension, the mind grabs the thing that's easy to grade and turns it into a scoreboard. That's where performative scorekeeping comes from. You start collecting moments instead of building trust. Last year, you didn't do enough. This year, you better not mess up. If you loved me, you would. It starts sounding like standards, but it's often a demand for reassurance in a form that can't be displayed. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's just insecurity trying to become measurable. But the cost is real. It steals clarity and replaces it with performative scorekeeping. Now you're arguing about the wrong thing. You're debating gifts when the real issue is consideration. You're debating planning when the real issue is priority. You're debating effort on one day when the real issue is effort over time. And because the argument is happening on a loud day, you miss the quiet truth that was available the whole time. Another cost is that it changes how you interpret love. You begin to equate love with presentation. You start requiring visible proof, and visible proof is always going to be easier for some people than actual consistency. Some people are good at grand gestures. Some people are good at sustained respect. If you confuse the two, you'll keep getting fooled. Valentine Noise always let people hide. A person can be unreliable all year and still show up strong on one day. A person can avoid hard conversations for months and still plan a night that looks perfect. A person can be emotionally absent and still be physically present when the calendar says it matters. That doesn't mean they don't care, but it does mean the relationship is being managed through bursts instead of through stability. If you ignore this, you end up training your relationship around spikes. You start living for the high points, anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, trips, special weekends, and then you spend the rest of the year in a low-grade deficit, waiting for the next moment that will make things feel okay again. That's not romance, that's a coping strategy. The consequence shows up in how you talk. That relationship becomes a ledger. I did this. You didn't do that. I always plan. You never think ahead. I posted you. You didn't. It becomes a running tab, and tabs create distance because you stop relating and start accounting. The more you account, the less you repair, because repair requires humility and clarity, not receipts for points. The truth is, a healthy relationship doesn't need seasonal proof. It has daily proof. That daily proof is what you should be judging, not the holiday. Now, here's a concrete example that's common. A couple has been off for months, not screaming, not breaking up, just off. Less tenderness, more irritation, less curiosity, more assumptions. They don't address it because life is busy and nobody wants the argument. Then Valentine's Day approaches. One person starts hoping this day will fix the feeling. They start attaching meaning to the plan. If the other person does it right, they'll feel reassured. If they do it wrong, then it confirms what they've been afraid of. The other person feels pressure, but they don't have clarity about why. Overcompensate with a performance, or they underperform and trigger a fight. Either way, the holiday becomes the battleground, even though the real issue was already in the room long before the day arrived. That's why the holiday doesn't create problems, it exposes them. The switch is simple. Judge the pattern. Consistency, repair, and respect. Nothing seasonal. Consistency means the care shows up regularly, not constantly, not perfectly, but reliably. You don't have to beg for basic consideration. You don't have to wait for a special day to feel chosen. The relationship has a steady rhythm of attention, responsibility, and presence. Repair means when something goes wrong, it gets handled, not avoided, not buried under a nice dinner. Repair is the willingness to name harm, take ownership, and correct it without making the other person pay forever. A relationship without repair is a relationship that slowly collects damage. Respect means the way you are treated when nobody is watching. It's tone, it's honesty, it's boundaries. It's how disagreements are handled. It's whether your needs are dismissed or considered. Respect is not just being polite. It's treating the other person like their inner world matters. When you judge, those 3 holidays become what they should be. Optional, enjoyable, not diagnostic. This also changes how you move. If the pattern is strong, you can enjoy the holiday without using it as a test. If the pattern is weak, you can stop pretending the holiday is going to fix it, and you can have the real conversation you've been avoiding. That is standards under relationship pressure. Not demanding a performance, but insisting on a stable pattern. And if you're the one doing the scorekeeping, calendar honesty applies here too. Ask yourself, what you are really asking for. Are you asking for gifts, or are you asking to be or feel valued on a regular day? Are you asking for a planned night, or are you asking for effort that doesn't require a deadline? Are you asking for a post, or are you asking for respect? When you can name the real request, you stop using the holiday as a proxy. Control is not about canceling Valentine's Day. Control is about removing its authority. You don't let a seasonal event decide what love is. You let the pattern decide. So here's the reflection prompt that is not meant to sound cute. It's meant to keep you honest. What does your relationship look like on a regular Tuesday? Because Tuesday is where your standards live. Tuesday is where consistency shows. Tuesday is where repair happens or doesn't. Tuesday is where respect is either normal or missing. If Tuesday is solid, the holiday is just a bonus. If Tuesday is shaky, the holiday is noise. If you want a companion to write with, my book, Chief Logic, 50 Quotes for a Life of Purpose and Power, is on Amazon and Kindle. It has quotes, final thoughts, and journal prompts. The link is in the description. Stay sharp, stay grounded.